I never thought saying no would blow up my whole family. But here I am, sitting alone in my apartment on a Friday night while my phone keeps lighting up with angry messages from everyone I love. All because I finally stood up for myself. Let me back up a bit. I'm Alex, 28 years old, and I work as a nurse at the local hospital. I do the night shift most weeks, which means I sleep during the day when I can. My sister Tina is 32 and has 3 kids, twins who are 5 and a toddler who just turned 2. Tina and her husband Mark both work full-time jobs with good pay, but they're always busy and stressed about money and time. I love my niece and nephews. I really do. Lily and Lucas are the twins, both bundles of energy who never stop asking questions. The baby, Sam, is still learning to talk but already knows how to get his way with those big brown eyes. They're good kids, but watching all 3 of them together is like trying to herd cats while juggling flaming torches. It started small about a year ago. Tina called me one Saturday morning while I was sleeping after working a 12-hour night shift. I remember rolling over and grabbing my phone, my eyes barely open. The room was dark thanks to my blackout curtains, but my phone said it was 9:30 a.m. "Alex, are you awake?" "I need a huge favor," Tina said before I could even say hello. I sat up, rubbing my eyes. "What's wrong? Mark's mom was supposed to watch the kids today, but she just called with food poisoning. I have this huge presentation at work I can't miss, and Mark has that training thing all day. Could you please watch the kids just until 4 o'clock? I'll drop them off in 30 minutes. Before I could explain that I had just gone to bed 3 hours ago after a tough shift, she was already thanking me and hanging up. That's how it usually went with Tina. She didn't ask so much as tell. I dragged myself out of bed and splashed cold water on my face. I hadn't seen the kids in a couple of weeks, and despite my exhaustion, a small part of me was happy to spend time with them. I quickly picked up some dangerous items around my apartment and made a pot of coffee as strong as I could make it. When Tina arrived, she barely looked at me as she rushed the kids inside, dropping a massive diaper bag and a cooler on my kitchen counter. Sam needs his nap at 11:30. No later or he'll be cranky all day. The twins can watch TV but only 1 hour and make sure Lucas takes his allergy medicine at lunch. "There's food in the cooler," Tina rattled off while checking her phone. I nodded, trying to keep my eyes open. I noticed she didn't ask how I was or if this was a good time. "Thanks so much. You're a lifesaver," she called out, already heading back to her car. "Try to do something educational with the twins." And then she was gone, leaving me with 3 kids staring up at me. Lucas immediately asked if he could have ice cream for breakfast. That first time was hard, but I managed. I played games with the kids, read them stories, and even took them to the park despite feeling like a zombie. When Tina picked them up at 4:30, not 4 o'clock as promised, I was ready to collapse. "Thanks again, Alex. The kids had fun," she said, not noticing my exhaustion. "We should do this more often." I didn't know those words would become my nightmare. Over the next few months, Tina's requests became more frequent. It went from once a month to every other weekend, then to multiple times a week. Each time the excuse was different. Work emergency, Mark's car broke down, their regular babysitter canceled, or she just needed me time. At first, I tried to be understanding. I'd rearrange my sleep schedule, cancel my own plans, and push through the exhaustion. But it started affecting my work. I was making mistakes during my shifts because I was so tired. My supervisor noticed and warned me about it. One day, about 6 months into this new pattern, I was having lunch with my friend Jess when my phone rang. It was Tina, of course. "Hey, can you take the kids tonight? Mark and I got invited to this dinner with his boss, and it could mean a promotion." I looked at Jess, who raised her eyebrows. She had been listening to me complain about this situation for months. "Tina, I have plans tonight," I said, feeling my heart beat faster. I rarely said no to my sister. "What plans?" Tina asked, her voice already taking on that irritated tone. "I'm going to a movie with Jess," I said. "We bought tickets last week." "A movie?" Tina scoffed. "That's not important. You can see a movie any time. This dinner is really important for Mark's career." "My plans are important to me," I said, my voice getting smaller. "Look, I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. Just do this for me, please. You know how much we're struggling right now." I felt that familiar wave of guilt wash over me. Tina had always been good at making me feel selfish for saying no. In the end, I canceled with Jess. Again. And she was understanding. Again. But I could tell she was getting tired of me always putting my sister first. That night, while watching the kids, I felt something shift inside me. I wasn't just tired physically. I was tired of being taken for granted. The twins were running around screaming while Sam cried because his favorite toy was at home. I had a pounding headache, and I knew I had to be at work in less than 12 hours. When Tina and Mark came home, they were laughing and happy. They didn't ask how things went or thank me for dropping everything to help them. They just assumed I would always be there. That's when I realized something had to change. The next day, I called my mom to talk about the situation. I thought she would understand, but I was wrong. You know how hard it is raising 3 kids, Alex, she said. Family helps family. That's what we do. But Mom, I'm exhausted all the time. I'm making mistakes at work. I never have time for myself or my friends. Your sister needs you, Alex. Don't be selfish. That word, selfish, it cut deep. Was it really selfish to want some control over my own life? The breaking point came 3 weeks later. I had worked 5 night shifts in a row, a brutal stretch that left me barely functioning. All I wanted was to sleep for the entire weekend. No alarms, no responsibilities, just rest. Friday morning, just as I got home from my final shift, my phone rang. Tina. Hey, I need a huge favor, she started, not even bothering with hello anymore. What is it? I asked, already dreading the answer. Mark's taking me away for the weekend. It's our anniversary and we really need this time together. Can you watch the kids just until Sunday evening? I felt my entire body tense up. This weekend? The entire weekend? I can't, Tina. I just finished 5 night shifts in a row. I need to sleep. You can sleep with the kids there, she said dismissively. Sam naps a lot and the twins can watch TV. That's not how it works, and you know it, I said, feeling anger build up inside me. I can't watch 3 kids and get the rest I need. Alex, please. We already booked the hotel. It's non-refundable. Then you should have asked me before booking it, I said, my voice stronger than I expected. I'm sorry, but I can't do it this time. There was silence on the other end, and then Tina's voice came back, cold and hard. Wow. Just wow. So much for family helping family. I guess you don't care about us at all. That's not fair, I started, but she cut me off. No, what's not fair is me having to cancel my anniversary plans because my sister is too selfish to help out. Do you know how long it's been since Mark and I had time alone? Do you even care? Of course I care, I said, tears forming in my eyes. But I'm burnt out, Tina. I can't keep doing this. Whatever, she snapped. I'll figure it out myself. Don't worry about it. She hung up before I could say anything else. I stood there in my apartment, phone in hand, feeling both guilty and relieved. Part of me wanted to call her back and say I'd do it, just to keep the peace. But another part, a stronger part, knew I had finally done the right thing for myself. I turned off my phone and went to bed, falling into a deep, dreamless sleep. When I woke up 12 hours later, I had 17 missed calls. 5 from Tina, 7 from my mom, 3 from my dad, and 2 from my younger brother, Jake. I also had dozens of text messages, each one making me feel worse than the last. From Tina, thanks for ruining our anniversary, hope you're happy. From Mom, call me right away, how could you do this to your sister? From Dad, your mother is very upset, please call and fix this. From Jake, dude, Mom and Tina are unhappy. What did you do? I sat on my bed, reading through the messages with growing disbelief. Somehow, in the span of half a day, I had become the villain in my family's story. I called my mom first, thinking she might be the most reasonable. I was wrong. Alex, how could you? She started as soon as she picked up. Tina and Mark haven't had a break in months, and you know how hard things have been for them. Mom, I just worked 5 night shifts in a row. I'm exhausted. I physically cannot watch 3 kids right now. So your sister doesn't deserve a break because you're tired? We're all tired, Alex. That's life. But family comes first. I tried to explain my side, but my mom wasn't listening. In her mind, I had betrayed my sister, and that was unforgivable. Dad wasn't any better. He told me I was being childish, and that I needed to grow up and take responsibility. Jake just wanted to stay out of it, but even he suggested I should have just helped Tina out. The worst was when Mark called. He rarely got involved in issues between me and Tina, but this time he was angry. You know what, Alex? I've always thought you were a good person, but this is really showing your true colors, he said. Tina does everything for everyone else, and the one time she asks for something for herself, you can't be bothered. I wanted to point out that it wasn't the one time, it was the 100th time. But I knew it wouldn't matter. By Sunday night I was a mess. I had barely eaten all weekend, torn between standing my ground and giving in to stop the family war. The messages had kept coming, each one making me feel more alone than the last. Monday morning I dragged myself to work, running on caffeine and anxiety. My coworker Rachel noticed something was wrong right away. Are you okay? You look like you haven't slept, she said during our break. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I told her everything. About Tina's constant demands, about finally saying no, about my family turning against me. To my surprise, Rachel looked angry, but not at me. Alex, that's not okay, she said firmly. Your sister is taking advantage of you, and your family's enabling her. But maybe they're right. Maybe I am being selfish, I said, voicing the doubt that had been eating at me. Rachel shook her head. Is it selfish to need rest after working 5 night shifts? Is it selfish to want some control over your own time? No, what's selfish is expecting someone to drop everything for you without consideration or gratitude. Her words hit me hard because deep down I knew she was right, but knowing I was right didn't make the situation any easier. My family was still furious with me, and I didn't know how to fix it without going back to being everyone's doormat. That night, as I sat alone in my apartment, I wondered if standing up for myself was worth losing my family over. I picked up my phone a dozen times, ready to call Tina and apologize, but each time I put it down again. Because the truth was, I wasn't wrong to set boundaries. I wasn't wrong to take care of myself, but in my family, saying no was the greatest sin of all. So now I sit here, surrounded by silence, instead of the usual chaos of my sister's children. My phone keeps lighting up with messages I'm too afraid to read. My family thinks I'm the villain in this story, and maybe from their perspective I am. But for the first time in a long time, I'm putting myself first. And despite everything, despite the guilt and the anger and the hurt, there's a small part of me that knows this was long overdue. The question is, where do I go from here? How do I stand my ground without losing everyone I love? Is it possible to have boundaries and still have a family? I don't have those answers yet. All I know is that I'm tired of being the family's free babysitter. I'm tired of being taken for granted. And I'm tired of feeling guilty for saying no. The hardest part is wondering if I really am the bad person they think I am. After all, if everyone is saying the same thing, maybe they're right. Maybe I am selfish. Maybe I should have just watched the kids. But then I remember how it felt to finally say no, that moment of clarity and relief before the guilt set in, and I wonder if maybe, just maybe, I did the right thing after all. A week passed, then 2. The silence from my family grew heavier with each day. I went to work, came home, slept, and repeated the cycle. No more surprise phone calls asking me to drop everything. No more twin tornadoes tearing through my apartment. No more baby Sam falling asleep on my chest. The peace I thought I wanted felt hollow. On Wednesday evening, after finishing my shift, I stopped by the grocery store. As I turned down the cereal aisle, I froze. There was Tina, looking tired as she tried to keep the twins from putting every sugary cereal in the cart while Sam fussed in the seat. Our eyes met. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then Lucas spotted me. "Auntie Alex!" he yelled, running toward me with his arms out. Lily followed, both of them crashing into my legs with the force of their excitement. My heart melted as I knelt down to hug them. I had missed them more than I realized. "Are you coming to our house?" Lily asked, her eyes bright with hope. "Not today, sweetie," I said, glancing up at Tina, who was watching with an unreadable expression. "Why not?" Lucas demanded. "You never come anymore. Did you stop loving us?" His words hit me like a punch to the stomach. I looked at him, his little face confused and hurt. "No, buddy, I could never stop loving you. Never ever," I said, pulling him close again. "I just needed some rest." Tina cleared her throat. "Kids, go pick out one treat each," she said, her voice tight. "Just one, and then come right back." The twins ran off excitedly, leaving me and Tina alone with Sam, who was now reaching for me from the cart. "You look tired," I said, standing up. Tina laughed, but there was no humor in it. "That's what happens when you have 3 kids and no help." I felt the familiar guilt rising, but this time I pushed it down. "Don't do that, Tina," I said quietly. "Don't make me the bad guy for setting a boundary." "A boundary," she repeated, shaking her head. "Is that what they call abandoning your family these days?" "I abandoned you?" I asked, my voice rising slightly. "I was there for you every single time you asked for almost a year. I canceled plans, missed sleep, put my job at risk. The one time I say no, I'm abandoning you?" Tina looked away, bouncing Sam, who had started to whimper. "You have no idea what it's like," she said. "You get to go home to your quiet apartment. You get to sleep whenever you want. You have freedom." "I do not sleep whenever I want," I said firmly. "I work night shifts. I sleep during the day when I'm not watching your kids. And yes, I have more freedom than you, but that doesn't mean my time belongs to you." The twins came running back, each holding a different candy bar, their argument about which was better covering the tension between me and Tina. "I should go," I said, stepping back from the cart. Tina nodded stiffly. "Goodbye, kids," I said, forcing a smile. "I love you all so much." As I walked away, I heard Lucas ask why Auntie Alex was crying. I hadn't even realized I was. When I got home, I called Rachel. She had become my lifeline during this family exile. "I saw Tina at the store," I said when she picked up. "Oh boy, how did that go?" I told her about our conversation, about how seeing the kids had torn me up inside, about how Tina still believed I was wrong. "Alex," Rachel said gently, "you need to talk to your sister. Really talk, not just argue in a grocery store. This isn't going to get better on its own." "She doesn't want to hear my side," I said. "Maybe not, but you need to say it anyway. For yourself." After we hung up, I sat on my couch for a long time thinking about what to do. Finally, I picked up my phone and typed out a message to Tina. I miss the kids. I miss you. Can we talk? Really talk? Just the two of us? I stared at the message for 10 minutes before hitting send. The reply came faster than I expected. Fine, coffee tomorrow at 2. The kids will be at Mom's. I typed back a quick yes before I could change my mind. That night, I barely slept. I rehearsed what I wanted to say, but every version sounded either too harsh or too apologetic. I didn't want to back down completely, but I also didn't want to lose my sister. The next day, I arrived at the coffee shop 15 minutes early. I ordered a large coffee, knowing I would need the caffeine to get through this conversation. When Tina walked in, she looked as nervous as I felt. She sat down across from me, clutching her cup like a shield. Neither of us spoke for a moment. "Thank you for meeting me," I finally said. Tina nodded. "Mom thinks I'm crazy for agreeing to this. She says you need to be the one to apologize." I took a deep breath. "I am sorry for hurting you," I said. "I never wanted that. But I'm not sorry for saying no." Tina's eyes flashed. "So you're not really sorry at all?" "That's not true," I said, trying to stay calm. "I'm sorry it happened the way it did. I'm sorry I didn't set boundaries sooner before I got so burnt out that I couldn't do it anymore. I'm sorry I didn't communicate better." Tina looked down at her cup. "You know what Mark's mom said when she heard about this? She said she always thought I was taking advantage of you." I stayed silent, waiting for her to continue. "At first I was so angry at her for saying that," Tina went on. "But then I started thinking about it. How many times did I call you last minute? How many times did I just assume you were available?" She looked up at me, her eyes shining with tears. "I never even asked if you were okay." Something broke open inside me at her words. Because that was it, exactly. I needed someone to ask if I was okay. "I'm not okay, Tina," I admitted, my voice breaking. "I'm exhausted all the time. I love your kids so much, but watching them takes everything I have." And I felt like I couldn't say no, like I wasn't allowed to have needs of my own. Tina reached across the table and took my hand. "Why didn't you say something sooner?" "I did, a little," I said. "But every time I tried, everyone made me feel selfish. Mom, Dad, even you, like wanting any time for myself was wrong." Tina was quiet for a moment. "You know what's funny?" she said finally. "I was jealous of you." "Jealous of me?" She nodded. "You get to be just you. You don't have to be someone's mom or someone's wife all the time. You get to decide what to do with your day. When I had the kids, I gave up so much of my freedom, and I love them more than anything, but sometimes I miss just being me." I squeezed her hand. I never thought about it that way. We ended up talking for hours that day. Really talking. Maybe for the first time in years. I told her how much I loved being part of her kids' lives, but how overwhelmed I felt by the constant demands. She told me how isolated she sometimes felt as a mom, how she and Mark rarely had time for each other anymore. "I think I resented you a little," she admitted, "because you could walk away when it got hard, and I couldn't." "I'm not walking away," I said firmly. "I just need some balance. Some warning before being asked to babysit. Some recognition that my time matters too." "That's fair," she said, nodding slowly. "More than fair. We came up with a plan. I would watch the kids one Saturday a month, scheduled in advance. If Tina needed extra help, she would ask at least 3 days ahead if possible, and she would understand if I sometimes said no. And most importantly, we would check in with each other regularly about how the arrangement was working. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was a start." When I finally came home that night, I felt lighter than I had in weeks, but I still had to face the rest of the family. My parents were the hardest. When I called my mom to talk about what happened, she was still cold and defensive. "I'm glad you and Tina worked things out," she said stiffly, "but you should have been more understanding from the beginning." I took a deep breath. "Mom, do you remember when Uncle Jim kept asking you to loan him money and Grandma kept saying you had to help because he was family?" There was silence on the other end of the phone. "That was different," she finally said. "Was it?" I asked gently. "You told me once that you felt trapped, that no one cared about the stress it was putting on you and Dad." Another long pause. "That's not fair, using my own words against me," she said, but her voice had softened slightly. "I'm not trying to use anything against you, Mom. I'm trying to help you understand how I felt. I loved Tina, I loved the kids, but I was drowning and no one saw it." We talked for a long time that night. My mom didn't fully understand or agree with me, but she listened. And that was a start, too. Dad came around more easily once Mom did. He even admitted that he had noticed how tired I looked the last few times he saw me. "You should have said something sooner, kiddo," he said during our next phone call. "I know, Dad," I said. "I'm working on that." My brother Jake never really understood what the big deal was in the first place. When I finally saw him again at Sunday dinner at our parents' house, he just shrugged and said, "Glad you guys worked it out. Pass the potatoes." That first family dinner was awkward. There were moments of uncomfortable silence, quick glances between my parents and Tina, and underlying tension that hadn't been there before. But there were good moments, too. Lucas showing me his new action figure. Lily telling me about her dance class. Sam climbing into my lap during dessert and falling asleep against my chest. It wasn't perfect, but it was family. Messy, complicated, frustrating family. The real test came a month later. Tina called me on a Tuesday afternoon. "Hey," she said, her voice hesitant. "I know this is last minute, but is there any chance you could watch the kids on Friday night? Mark's company is having a dinner and our regular sitter is sick." My first instinct was still to say yes automatically, but instead I checked my calendar. I had plans to go to a concert with Rachel, tickets we had bought months ago. "I can't on Friday," I said, feeling my heart race slightly. "I have the concert with Rachel. But I could do Saturday instead if that helps." There was a pause, and I braced myself for guilt or anger. But instead, Tina just said, "That's okay. I'll ask Mark's sister. Enjoy your concert." I almost fell off my chair in shock. "Thank you for understanding," I said, unable to keep the surprise out of my voice. Tina laughed. "I'm trying," she said. "It's not easy, but I'm trying." Later that week, I went to the concert with Rachel. We danced and sang along to the music, and I felt free in a way I hadn't in a long time. The next night, I watched the kids while Tina and Mark went out to dinner with friends. It was exhausting and chaotic and wonderful. Finding balance isn't easy. There are still days when Tina gets frustrated with me, or when Mom makes a comment about how family should always come first. There are days when I feel guilty for saying no, even when I know I shouldn't. But there are good days too. Like last week when Tina called just to check in and ask how my day was, or when Dad showed up at my apartment with coffee because he knew I was coming off a tough shift, or when the twins made me cards just because we love you. I'm learning that setting boundaries doesn't mean pushing people away. It means creating relationships that are healthier and more honest. It means loving others without losing yourself in the process. My family isn't perfect. We still argue and misunderstand each other. We still hurt each other sometimes without meaning to, but we're trying, all of us, to do better. The funny thing is, I think I'm actually a better aunt now. When I'm with the kids, I'm fully present, not resentful or exhausted. I enjoy our time together instead of watching the clock, waiting for it to be over. Last weekend, I took the twins to the park while Tina stayed home with Sam, who had a cold. As we were walking back, Lily slipped her small hand into mine. "Auntie Alex," she said, looking up at me with those big eyes so much like her mother's, "I'm glad you're not mad at Mommy anymore." I squeezed her hand. "I was never really mad at your mom, sweetie. Sometimes grown-ups just need to figure out how to talk to each other better." She nodded solemnly, as if this made perfect sense to her. Then Lucas crashed into us, shouting about the ice cream truck he had spotted, and the moment passed. That night, after I had dropped the twins back home, Tina walked me to my car. "Thank you," she said suddenly. "Not just for today, but for everything." I looked at her, surprised. "What do you mean?" She smiled a little sadly. "For making me see what I was doing to you, for not letting me keep taking advantage, even when it would have been easier to just give in, for loving my kids enough to be part of their lives, even after everything." I hugged her then, fierce and tight, the way we used to when we were kids ourselves. "I'll always be there for you and the kids," I promised. "Just not every single weekend." She laughed against my shoulder. "Deal." As I drove home that night, I thought about how far we'd come in just a few months, from not speaking to finding a new way to be family. It wasn't perfect, and we were still figuring it out day by day, but it was better, healthier, more honest. I used to think saying no meant rejecting the people I loved. Now I understand that sometimes saying no is the most loving thing you can do, not just for yourself, but for everyone. Because when you're stretched too thin, you don't have enough to give anyone, including yourself. My phone buzzed as I pulled into my apartment complex. It was a text from Tina, with a photo of the twins holding up drawings they had made for me. "They already miss their favorite aunt," the message said. "Maybe movie night at our place next weekend? No babysitting required." I smiled as I typed back, "I'll bring the popcorn." So that's where I am now. Still a nurse working night shifts. Still an aunt who loves her niece and nephews more than anything. Still figuring out this whole boundary thing one day at a time. And yes, there are still moments when someone in my family makes me feel guilty for not always being available. There are still times when I doubt myself and wonder if I'm being selfish after all. But then I remember something Rachel told me during those dark days when my family wasn't speaking to me. People who truly love you want you to be happy and healthy, not used up and burnt out. It took time, but my family's learning to love me that way, and I'm learning to love myself that way too. So if you're reading this and wondering if you're wrong for setting boundaries, if you're selfish for sometimes saying no, if you're a bad person for needing time and space for yourself, you're not. You're human. And you deserve to be treated with respect and understanding even by the people who need you most. Maybe especially by them. What would you have done in my place? Would you have kept saying yes until there was nothing left of you to give? Or would you have found the courage to say no, even knowing it might blow up everything? I don't know what the right answer is for everyone. I only know that for me, learning to say no saved not just my relationship with my sister, but with myself. And in the end, that's what made it possible for me to truly say yes, with joy and love, to the things that matter most.